One aspect of Harry Morgan's confession to Maria Lagerda about how he knew Brian Moser and Dexter, Original Sin, does not make any sense. Original Sin Episode 9 was the culmination of Harry Morgan and Laura Moser's romance, which has been a significant focus throughout the season. Harry attempted to conceal his file and remove his name from the investigation after learning that Brian Moser, Roby et al., was the NHI killer. But in the most recent episode, Maria Lagerda confronted Harry about it after witnessing him do so. Harry unexpectedly came open when Maria questioned him about his attempts to shield Brian Moser. He told Maria about Brian's placement in foster care, his affair with Laura, and her death at the hands of Hector Estrada. For the most part, he was honest, but he deliberately omitted Dexter's family relationship to Brian. However, there was a quite significant plot hole in Dexter. Original Sin because of one element of Harry's confession that didn't make sense. Harry said he always worried what had happened to Brian while he was confessing. However, Camilla Figg, Sarah Kinsey, later stated that she was unable to locate any of Brian's sealed files, so that wasn't merely part of his cover story. However, Harry's refusal to follow Brian after he left the Morgan residence is inexplicable. After Harry briefly adopted Brian, he had a violent outburst and attempted Deb's murder. Why wouldn't Harry bother to follow up with the child who nearly killed his daughter and undoubtedly held him responsible for his mother's passing? The same files Camilla mentioned are probably the reason Harry didn't attempt to keep an eye on Brian over the years. Even the police were unable to see Brian's files because he was a minor housed in a medical facility. But if Harry truly wanted to, he could have used his influence as a police sergeant and his contacts with judges and other law enforcement authorities to check into Brian's files. According to Episode 9 of Original Sin, Harry appeared to have known that Brian was a ticking time bomb, but chose to ignore it. In Original Sin Season 1, Harry's failure to follow up with Brian over the years may have some disastrous repercussions. In addition to killing his therapist and nurse from the mental hospital, Brian has already demonstrated that he is murdering those whom he holds responsible for causing him to become estranged from Dexter. He said this to Barb, Kathleen Rose Perkins, right before he hacked her to pieces. Harry is probably on Brian's short list of potential attackers because he accuses Harry of stealing him from Dexter. It's even possible that Original Sin is preparing to turn Harry's eventual suicide into one of Brian's murders. The likelihood that Brian will attempt to murder Harry, and perhaps succeed, is merely another evidence why Harry ought to have remained abreast of his life. Harry would have had time to get ready if he had been receiving information on Brian's condition and would have known when Brian was discharged from the mental hospital. He wouldn't have been so surprised by Brian's return if Harry had been watching for him. However, before Dexter Original Sin Season 1 concludes, Harry's error might prove to be lethal. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.